Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta fishing report for the week of April 7th, and everything looks like it's going in the right direction, both with stripers and largemouth. I'm going to start off with a picture of a fish that I caught I guess about a week ago, and you'll notice this big black spot on the side of the fish. And I know some of you guys are catching these fish and you're seeing that spot and saying, what the heck are those? So I'm going to let you know what that is. It's called a melanosis, and not melanoma, it's not a cancer, melanosis, and it is a skin disorder, a cell disorder which the bass has. Most of the fish have this disorder, it just doesn't show up. The reason it's showing up now more than maybe during the winter months is that the fish are under stress. So when it's spawn time, they're getting a little stressed out there in shallow water. They got boats running around, they get stressed. This skin or cell disorder will show up on them in these little black spots. Now, it's not contagious to other fish. If you were to put that fish in a live well at a tournament, it's not going to infect other fish. It has really no effect on the fish's day-to-day life, and it has no effect on their length of life. It's just a cell disorder, oddball little thing that pops up. So if you guys didn't know what that was, now you know what it is. If you go out with a friend and he says, what the heck's this little black spot? You can tell him it's a melanosis. So that's your trivia for the day, I guess. All right, let's get into river conditions, and I'll just say they're great out here. It's about 65 degree temperatures. We're going to have water temps. The air temperature the next week or two is going to be in the 80s and 90s. I suspect we're going to have, who knows, 60, 68 degree water by maybe the end of the week. Clarity out here is fine, don't worry about it. The river's in great condition. If you have a chance to come out here and fish, you want to fish. That's all I'm going to say about the river conditions. Just perfect. Stripers, they have come in. Last week I told you it was just fair, and there was going to be something that triggered the fish to come in, the stripers to come in. There was a lot of fish in the bay, they just weren't coming in. And about the time that I uploaded that video, I started getting reports from guys that said, I didn't know what you saying about the just fair fishing. We went out and whacked them. We got good numbers. They're all over. We're catching fish. So whatever it was that triggered those fish to come in from the bay, they are in the system now. People are catching them. That's all I need to say. They're catching them on topwaters, paddle tail swim baits, and big topwater walking baits, and also, your S-wavers, your sneaky Pete's, bone colors. They're all doing well. So if you're a striper guy, now's the time to get out there and fish. You're going to catch some fish. They seem to be all over the system. The bigger fish are coming out of the Sacramento side, and most guys are catching them on flats that have moving water, say 2 to 4 feet deep. That's all you need to know. Make your run, you're going to catch some stripers. All right, let's get into the largemouth bass, which I know most of you guys are interested in. And by and large, I'll start off by saying everyone that's been sending me information, and these are guys that I get information from week after week, almost to a man, they're saying, or woman, they're saying that we are seeing an increase in the numbers of bites we're getting, the numbers of fish we're getting, and the size we're getting. Keep that in mind. Now, the BBT had a tournament out here Saturday. 102 boats, 34.5 pounds won the tournament. I think they had, this is off the top of my head, I forget if it was the top 10 or the top 20 guys had 20 pounds of fish or over. And if you look at that on the surface, you're thinking, this is, I gotta get out here because I'm gonna get 20 pounds. It's not like that. Look down around 50th place, and what you would have found was 10 pounds was 50. Everyone from 50 to 102 had less than 10 pounds of fish. I think 20 or 25 guys did not weigh in. There was a lot of guys that had 1 to 3 fish, and in that 5 to 7 or 8 pound range. And these are all guys that they may not be your top tournament anglers, but they're capable fishermen. They're all out here. They know that they can catch fish, and they probably know the river. And they struggled out here. So don't get down on yourself if you come out one day and you don't have a good day. You probably just hit the wrong tide, the wrong time, or you just missed the spots that you should have been on. The guys that won the tournament, most of the guys that we're talking about having the big bags, were flipping and pitching. They were fishing areas that they had fished in practice, and they know the big fish were in here. There was one double-digit weighed in, and one fish that was, I think, just less than an ounce or something, under 10 pounds. Quite a few fish in that 6-7 pound range, 8 pounds. Lots of big fish weighed in, so there was a lot of people fishing shallow, and a lot of guys were flipping, not so much punching, but pitching to open areas, protected areas that were spawning areas. They're not looking for a lot of water movement, but just slow water movement. Tules were the thing that everybody talked about. They were pitching to isolated tule patches. Most guys are talking about, if you want to catch a lot of the bucks, you can go to the rock banks. But if you're looking for a huge bag, fish the tules. Make sure you're fishing the isolated tule patches, maybe just offshore a little bit and in some protected water. The colors that everybody was talking about was black and red. Basically crayfish colors, green pumpkins, black and red, black and blue, maybe a little orange. Anything that represents a crayfish is going to be something that these fish are really going after, especially during spawn. They don't like crayfish around their bed. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that you can catch fish on anything out here this time of year. Crayfish imitations may be what's getting the biggest fish, but if you have a confidence bait and you're coming out here, use that confidence bait. And I'll say that if your confidence bait is either a chatterbait, a frog, a plastic worm, a creature bait, and I believe the guys that won the tournament mentioned one of the creature baits that they were using was a brush hog, and I've been talking about using brush hogs for the last 2 or 3 weeks along with Alan Fong. Has been really hitting brush hogs, so keep that in mind. Black and red brush hog may be something that you might want to have on here. But getting back to your confidence baits, start off with what you like and what you know you can catch fish on. But this is the time of year that if that particular bait doesn't pay off, switch over to other baits that we've been talking about, the usual suspects that you may not have that confidence in, because there's enough fish moving around that if you're quick to move from bait to bait, you're going to catch fish on baits this time of year that you may not be able to catch fish on in other times of the year. So if you can get your confidence in, maybe you're not really good with the chatterbait, if you can throw it a little bit more than you usually do and catch a few fish, all you need is to get your confidence on that bait, and then through the rest of the summer, guess what? You're going to have that chatterbait in your back pocket with a lot more confidence, and you can throw that and you're going to really increase your catch through the rest of the year. All right, with that being said, frogs, they've been coming up a lot. I've talked to some guys that I know are good frog fishermen, and they've been fishing frogs, working frogs all day long and having good success. I've been throwing, for my topwater baits, I have not been throwing frogs a whole lot just yet. I'm throwing small poppers and bubble walkers, things like that, in open water, and I'm doing well with those. And I like to fish that way because, number one, I think I get more bites. I may not get as big a fish as I would throwing a frog, but I have a much higher hooking ratio where I can catch more fish and just have fun. And that's what I'm about here this time of year, is just getting the strikes and catching fish. And if they're 1 to 3 pounds, that's great. If I get a 5 or 6 pounder, that's great too. But try top waters. Back to Zero or Hero. Talked to Rob Cloutier from the Bass Hole, and Rob didn't have such a rosy picture. He fit the BBT was fishing Saturday. Rob and a few of his buddies, 6 or 8 guys, went out and had a little turkey shoot, fun tournament between the 6 or 8 guys. Now, he didn't mention who they were, but I know Rob, and I know the guys that he fishes with are all probably 6 or 8 guys that are all capable of winning a BBT tournament. 1 day difference, Saturday to Sunday. I think their little 6 or 8 man tournament had was won with 7 pounds, and these are really top-notch fishermen. I think 3 fish with 7 pounds somewhere in there. The difference is we had that weather front come in and it dropped the barometer. That's the one thing that you really have to watch. If you're coming from out of town and everything looks rosy, and then for some reason there's a barometer drop, a change in weather, and mostly that's going to accompany, meaning 70, 80 degree weather dropping down in the 60s. You have that temperature drop, barometers moving around. These fish will go on a close-lipped day or two. So if you're coming from out of town, keep that in mind. Don't worry about normal wind. We're going to start getting the breeze and the wind up here. But if that wind is associated with a drop in temperature and the barometer is moving around a lot, it really affects the fish in shallow water. So just be aware of that. One day can make a huge difference. With that being said, all the usual suspects are catching fish out here, like I talked about. Frogs, chatterbaits, punch. You can catch fish punching, flipping, but just keep it to crawdad colors when you're throwing the plastics. If you need to drop shot, you'll probably catch a lot of fish. You can throw the robo worms and catch a lot of the bucks and have a lot of fun. But if you want those bigger fish, try to fish the shallow water, the protected areas, 1 to 3 or 4 feet deep, and around 2 isolated tule clumps, and you're probably going to be doing pretty good with that. That's all I got to say, guys. We have a full moon the 17th. If you're going to take some time off work, that's when I'd be taking it off and fishing out here. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. There's not a lot of pressure out on the river right now on weekdays. I would imagine Saturdays and Sundays there's a lot more pressure out here. But it's the time to be out here. If you see me out here, stop by and say hi, and I'd like to hear how you're doing and meet you guys. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week on the report if we don't see you before. Have a good week.